Who are you, Blues fan? We're bleeding blue with you. Let's go, Blues! Let's go, Blues! Let's go, Blues!
And aloha! Welcome to the Blue Note Fan Report. I'm Guy, the Hawaii Blues fan, and this is your pregame show that is by the fan, for the fan, and about you, the fan. Wow, have we had an interesting day in Blues land. Yes, in Blues Nation, something there really, really interesting. It's neat that the things that have been happening. So today, one of the major things was Doug Armstrong had about a 35-minute Zoom conversation with all the reporters that mattered, the beat reporters, the one the Blues consider that matter, not little guys like me, but they allowed him to have a Zoom conversation. And Armstrong talked about the injured players. And he had said that of all the injured players, Tarasenko is the closest to being back, and he should be back by the end of the trip. That's all he said, end of the trip. I'm kind of thinking, now he was doing hot laps today after practice. He's done all the work. I think the only thing keeping him out now is a doctor's or trainer's permission. So maybe they're going to look at his shoulder a little bit more. I'm not completely sure, but you know what? I think we're at that point where we could easily see him. I think we could see him this weekend. I really, really do. I would want him to play this weekend against the Kings. And again, especially since it was the Kings that injured him to begin with. So him playing against the Kings is a very good thing. That's a mental thing to knock out. And I definitely would love to see that. So for everybody watching, this is Guy. I'm the Hawaii Blues fan, and you're watching the Blue Note Fan Report. Please put them thumbs in the air and let me know how much you're liking this show as we talk about all things Blues on the program that's by a fan, for the fan, and about you, the fan. One of the things that he also talked about was Bozak, Parayko, and Schwartz. And he said that they were out indefinitely. Now, when you hear that, you can take that a couple of different ways. What he said afterwards was, that's not as bad as it sounds. I think what he came out and said was that I'm not going to update their status until they're on the ice skating. Okay, that's fair. That is fair. He probably gets asked about it every day. I think saying that they're out indefinitely helps. But you know what? I'm not the greatest at all of this. I do okay. I know my stuff. But there's somebody that I know that knows his stuff better than anybody I know, and I can't wait to bring him on. So let's bring on Lance DeScott from the Drop Podcast. Lance, welcome to the Blue Note Fan Report. Oh, man, I'm loving that background, buddy.
Yeah, that middle jersey is the one I got from Mike Zook, the All-Star jersey.
That is sweet, buddy. That is absolutely.
Yeah, there's fake ones online, and they want $140, $150 for them. But the only thing that's authentic is on Fanatics, and they only have the autograph ones, and they're $350.
Yeah. So the Zookie's at a good price?
Yeah. He treated me well.
So everyone, Mike Zook has his own shop called St. Louis Authentic. What is it called? Mike Zook's Enterprises. That's it.
I got the card right here. I'll have to find it here.
Yeah, no problem.
Let me see if I can find it. All right.
Okay, so what I was talking about before we came on was Armstrong's press conference today, our Zoom conference today, with the beat writers, and how we're not important enough to be beat writers, even though we try our best. Yeah, I'm a little sore.
Well, Guy, don't feel too bad. I've been going through it since the end of 2015.
I know.
I've most of the replies I get from the Blues are very nice. saying that there's no more press passes available. I've gotten a few of them from a person that doesn't work for the Blues anymore, and I'm not going to name them, but I was basically told that podcasts are not real media, and the NHL does not allow the Blues to give out press passes to podcasts, which is false.
Yes, that is false.
There are teams out there that do give press passes to podcasts. I think the Blues are starting to come around to that, to see that a lot of people follow podcasts, a lot of people follow vlogs, a lot of people follow blogs. And I think eventually they'll come to it to where they'll have people like you and I have press passes, or at the least, I've even asked for just access to players.
Yeah.
I don't have to have a press pass. I don't have to be at every game, but could I have access to players? And the response has been no.
Yeah. And I get it. And they put in their press guide that they released for this season. It's at the back of the press guide. Yep. And I get that. And, I haven't sent my request in yet because I'm kind of I want to make sure it really looks good and I get a letterhead or something set up. But I would love to see us guys get at least, especially now that it's all Zoom. What would it hurt to start letting a couple of us in the Zooms to see if we're legitimate? And if we ask legitimate, good, solid questions, okay, you can stay. But when you ask the stupid ones, you're out of here.
Yeah, because
that's just the way I feel about it.
Yeah, I will tell you, I listen to so many post games, and some of the questions those guys act, and I respect a lot of them, but a lot of the questions they ask are so generic and they're just so not people that really have played the game. I'm not saying Jim Thomas is bad. I'm not saying Jeremy Rutherford. I respect those guys greatly at what they do. Their job is not easy. They've got to form relationships with these people, but be neutral at the same time. That's not easy to do. So I highly respect both of them and have no issues with either one of them. But there are some times where there's a few guys that'll ask the question and I'll go, that was the dumbest question I've ever heard. Like the one, how does it feel after this loss? Well, how the heck do you think it feels? Do you think Berube's happy? Do you think Bennington's happy? No, that's a dumb question.
Yep, I get it. So let's get into the. So Armstrong came out and said that Bozak, Parayko, and Schwartz are out indefinitely, but he prefaced that with that's not as bad as it sounds. So what do you? He also said that I'm not going to update their conditions until they're on the ice skating. What is your opinion about that? Do you think that's a smart way to handle it?
Well, I think, every day he gets asked by reporters, Jeremy Rutherford, Jim Thomas, and that's the questions they've got to ask. Yeah. And people from out of town, people from other cities where the Blues are going to be playing them on the road or they're going to be playing them at home. They want to know. I don't have a huge problem with it. I think maybe he should say, I'll update you guys weekly or bi-weekly. That would be much better than to say, I'm not going to deal with it till they're back skating on the ice. But I do understand why he does that because he's got limited time, and the media, although it's important to the NHL and Craig Berube understands that, he'd rather be coaching his team than telling the media, updates on the people being hurt. But I will tell you this, from my understanding, the one that's got the least amount of likelihood to come back is Tyler Bozak. His concussion is not good. It's not very good at all. And somebody came out a couple of weeks ago and said that. In fact, Craig Berube said that. They asked Tyler how Tyler Bozak was progressing, and I think I can quote him. I might be a little off, but he basically said, Berube said, it's not good. It's not good at all. That's a different story. And it is. Parayko and Schwartz, I think what the Blues are trying to do when they say they're going to reevaluate these guys in 6 to 8 weeks, guys like Barbashev and Schwartz and Parayko, they're hoping that with rest, some of these guys' issues like that bulging disc that Parayko has in his lower back, I believe it is. I might be wrong. But, that could not swell and maybe it doesn't show up again. But I think he'll eventually have to have surgery. He'll have to go in and have something done to it. And there's a lot of new non-invasive ways they can take a hold of that. But with the Schwartz injury, I believe it's his ankle. I think they're trying to see, they're not sure how bad the fracture is because it is a fracture. Okay. It's just, I don't think it's a full breakthrough. I think that's why they're giving 6 to 8 week updates and this and this and that. But I would be shocked if we see Bozak, number one. Number two, I'll be shocked if we see Parayko before the playoffs and maybe not even all year. And number three, Schwartz, I think it's about the same thing as Parayko. But if the Blues put them all on LTIR, I wouldn't be shocked either.
Okay, yeah. So here's something that's come out. I did read somewhere today that Bozak was going on LTIR, but he's not officially there yet.
No,
I
he's
did
not.
see a tweet about that. I saw a tweet about it. I know I did. I don't remember where it was, but I did see something about that. The other thing is, and this is G. Kane, 20 Chin came up and thoughts on the Blues making a move at deadline if people are placed on long-term IR. I have a suggestion, and I'm not completely sure of it, and I wanted to run it by you, and I'm going to run it by you when I'm running it by everybody else. So you have Steen that is on LTIR that is not coming back. Right? We know that. His $5 million is there. We couldn't we do a move, something like what Tampa Bay did? Move him to a contender that's up against the cap. Take one or two players off from him, right? The money that we take off, even though we would be under what? If as long as it's under his $5 million, it evens out. Right? It evens out, and then another team could take him, and by trading other players in him, now they open up more room for their cap.
That is a possibility, but he's got to come off LTIR before you can trade him. You can't trade a guy on LTIR.
No, that is not true. The guys that Tampa Bay got were on LTIR when they traded him.
Well, they must have changed the rules in a few years ago.
Yeah.
I
think this year that it's just that they did something, but no, those guys were traded because I remember writing about it. These are two guys that would never put their uniform on.
Yeah.
They were considered, well, again, maybe they were on LTIR, but come off at the end of the season and that, I don't know, maybe something like that. But, that was something that I saw, and it was just a thought process in my head.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, if you can do that and it's not against the rules, I mean, I wouldn't have a problem with them doing it.
I think Steen would allow the trade, quote unquote, because he knows he's still a Blue. Right?
Yeah.
You know,
Probably.
and it would definitely help. It definitely opened things up for the Blues.
Yeah.
At least in my eyes, it would.
It could. I mean, that's a possibility.
Right.
You know, I just don't see Doug Armstrong doing that, but that is a possibility.
Yeah, the other one for me would be if Bozak goes on LTIR, you know, his contract's over.
Yep.
Why not? Right? Oh, and I just seen the some of the lineup. So here's what you were talking about. So this was from Doug Armstrong today. Thomas will be reevaluated in 4 weeks, so he's getting better.
Yep.
Barbashev in 6 weeks, so he's been getting better. Delarose, whatever his injury is, and I think it's a shoulder injury from the way he went down, will be reevaluated in 3 weeks. Parayko, Schwartz, and Bozak, all with upper body injuries, are out indefinitely, meaning it could be short-term or long-term, and that was from Lou Korick on Twitter today. And then I saw the defensive pairings have changed up, and let's see if I can find that real quick. Give me just a moment.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what Dakota Joshua can do.
Yeah, that was my next question. So here's the starting lineup. Here's the lineups: Sanford, O'Reilly, and Kyrou. Walker, Shin, and Perron, Clay, Sundqvist, and Hoffman, and that brings up a question, and Clifford, Joshua, and McCachran. Dakota Joshua, a player of color, which is great, no issue. I'm just bringing it out because it is a fact, is finally getting his chance. He's going to play center tonight. He played at Ohio State, got college hockey behind him, done good in the ECHL. I guess it's the Ontario Hockey League. I guess it's time for this guy. I haven't heard much about him. I don't know much about him. What do you think about this guy? What can you tell us about him?
I think he could eventually turn into a decent third line center. I don't think he's the type of guy that's going to be a 2 or number 1 center. Of course, we've got our number 1 center in Ryan O'Reilly, but you know, hey, other things have happened. There's been guys that have picked in the first round that never play in the NHL. And there's guys picked in the 5th, 6th, 7th round that end up having great careers. So, you just never know. But I see him as a fourth line, third line at the best type of a center. But he's got some skill, he's got some speed, he's got some pretty good hands, and I'm glad to see some young guys get opportunities. And we all know without all these injuries, these young guys, Walker's not in the lineup. The Dakota's not in the lineup. A lot of these guys don't get chances, and this may be their only chance for a year. This may be a time for him to really show something that he deserves some good consideration, especially for next year going into camp.
Right. Also, today they signed to an entry-level contract that doesn't start till next season. I think it's Colton Ellis, a goalie that's in the. Is that right?
Yep.
Colton Ellis, who is a goalie that is been in the OHL, got like the first or second best record, first or second best save percentage, first or second best GAA. Could be a goalie of the future, I guess. Good. Did they sign him now for next year's contract?
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. He's young. He's still young. He's got some years to mature. He's a good goalie. He really is. I think the Blues' two best goalie prospects are Hofer or Hoffer, however you want to pronounce it, and Ellis. Fitzpatrick's okay. You may see Fitzpatrick be a pretty good backup someday.
Yeah.
But I think Ellis and Hoffer are their best two prospects, especially Hoffer. He's going to be a good goalie. I hear people talking about him even higher than they used to talk about Jake Allen when Jake was very young at 18 or 19. So he's good.
Yeah. So the thing that I know about him, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, man. Sometimes in my ear, it sounds like you're stopped, and that's why I get in. So all right. Just let the people know, hey, we love each other. We're very good friends, and we're not going at each other's throats sometimes. No. So what I remember about him is when they drafted him, he was the backup for the Ottawa 67s. And they said, the guy that he was in front of didn't even get drafted. So they saw something. Yeah. And all I'm thinking is, that Marty Brodeur, the one I know he works for the Devils, got to be talking to somebody, because they've been picking up some pretty good goalie prospects lately.
Yeah, they really, really have been. I think that's where the Blues have always had prospects, but it seems like they've traded them away at the wrong time. Bishop, they decided to go with Allen and Elliott. After that, but Ben Bishop, he's been injury prone the last few years, and he's got injured in Tampa. But overall, he's a pretty dang good goalie. He's always in the top 4 or 5 in goals against and save percentage. It's just sad that he's had so many injuries, but that's a guy that could have taken the Blues for years. And, they wouldn't have had to bring up a Husso early, and they probably wouldn't have even had to bring up a Bennington at the time. So, but that's the way the cookie crumbles, and you lose some prospects. And I even think that Jarl Halak, they should have held on to him. He's pretty good with the Blues, and they thought they'd made that move with Ryan Miller. And I like Ryan Miller, but I'll tell you what, he wasn't into it being here. He knew he
did not want to be here.
He knew the Blues weren't going to re-sign him and give him the money he wanted. There was no chance of him coming back here, and it was basically a waste. And then Halak goes on to Buffalo, and then he goes on to Boston and the Islanders, and then Boston, and he's had a pretty good career after the Blues as a backup.
Yeah, he's great. Now, Marianne asked if anyone knows what the Sharks player said to Bennington. And to be honest, Marianne, I don't think we'll ever know. They're not going to say what that was. No one's going to talk about that. Even if I had, let's just say I had Bennington's text number and I texted him, he would tell me, he would probably give me some quip like nothing important, or nothing that I'm going to repeat. So that's what I'm kind of with there.
No, I think Bennington would say, did I say something?
No, did they say what they said to him?
No, that's what he'd say. Did they say anything? Kind of being a smart aleck.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, okay, I can see now. So Ashley Jones is saying, I can tell you have a lot of respect for each other. You just get excited, guy, which makes you fun to watch. Well, I appreciate that, Ashley. And Marianne talking about Miller. Miller just, when he got here, he forgot how to be a goaltender. And that's all there is to it. Yeah. Right. And if it wasn't a buy-in or any, and that's my thing. If he didn't want to come here, why did he even, has this was going, and I remember this, right? I remember it absolutely. everyone's talking about Miller getting traded. The Blues were number one. The Blues were number one. Why didn't he just come out and say, I'm really not interested in going to St. Louis. You trade me? Okay, I go, but I really don't have an interest going there. If he says that, the Blues back off, and we don't get an absolute idiot.
Yeah, and it was sad because I believe that was the year, and I might be wrong. I'm getting older. I think that was the year that the Blackhawks played the Blues in the first round, and the Blues were up 2-0 and then lost it in 4 straight games. I might be wrong. It was either that year or the year after that. Yeah. And he just looked bad in the playoffs. I tell you,
he was an absolute.
I knew people that knew Ryan Miller. They don't know him anymore, because they knew him when he was in Buffalo. Said that he just wanted to get the heck out of Buffalo. That's all he cared about. And the Blues, being good, that was just an extra thing. But he knew with the way the Blues are with money that he wasn't going to get the money he wanted to be a starter. And he may not even be a starter the following year. So he knew the Blues had Jake Allen coming up and everything. And he just decided that, I'm going to tank it. I'm going to leave my 5-hole open for 59 minutes of the 60-minute game. And I'll just let goals in all night because I saw his first game.
Yeah.
And I can't remember if it was against Pittsburgh or another team. And I saw one of his first game and he looked pretty good. I mean, he looked really good. And I think back then the Blues were 1-2 with Pittsburgh in the rankings, the top 1 and 2 teams overall in the NHL. And I might be wrong, but some games just flashed together. But yeah, he looked good in his first game. And then he looked good in his second. And he had a few off games. But overall, I thought he was okay. Okay, he wasn't great. But I thought, the playoffs are coming. He hasn't had a chance to be in the playoffs in a while. Maybe he's really going to play to get that big contract. And
Yeah, no, I get it. And I'm not completely sure why he just dropped like he did. It was an absolute that's just another thing. So we talked about Dakota Johnson coming up. We talked about and I got to talk about my pick'em contest real quick, if you don't mind, Lance. And then I'll let you talk about the things you need to talk about.
That's fine.
My pick'em contest. We had a tie, an absolute tie, going into the final after the final game.
Mm-hmm.
Jess York and David Nash tied at 27 points. So they have a sudden death today. In the Hawaii Blues fan group, the clan, in my clan, we have their 2 picks. So they picked the exact same score, so that goes out the window.
Yeah.
I asked him to pick 2 players. He picked Perron and O'Reilly. He picked not Perron. He picked Shin and O'Reilly. She picked Perron and Shin. So if all things are equal, if Shin scores first, he wins.
Mm-hmm.
If Perron scores first, she wins. If O'Reilly scores first, he wins. If everything are equal, that's the fine. And what I mean by score, it goes goal, primary assist, secondary assist. So whoever gets the goal, whoever gets that point first. If all things are equal afterwards, right? So if one of them scores and nobody else does, obviously, right? But if everything's equal, that's how we're going to do it. I absolutely think it's great. I love it. And I opened it up to the lounge with 40,000 people and I only got one. But this month, this is a brand new Adidas Tarasenko size 50, which is probably a medium large. Right between medium and large.
It's a medium. It's a medium small.
Medium small at size 50.
But it looks like a more of a medium size. It'll be more like a medium.
Yeah, I think I'm 6'2", 220, and I think I could wear it pretty comfortably.
You could get close to wearing it. You would either need a 50 or 52.
I've got a 54.
Yeah. Most of mine are 56 because I'm 6'4" and 250. So I'm a little bit bigger than you.
Okay. Well, that did have something to do with it, and that's a good point.
Yeah. I understand that, and I forgot about that, but I'm glad that they brought that up. I'm really glad they brought that up. Thank you so much for reminding us. I do remember him saying that.
Yeah, that he did. I do too. And thank you, James. We appreciate that.
Thank you so much.
Nate Joyner, here's a thought. Just go back to hitting and for checking, backtracking, hitting as a whole. I think that they did a better job of doing that in the last game. But there's one thing that I don't think people understand about this team. And hey, this one was given to me at a bottom bargain price by somebody I know in Canada who had gotten it and couldn't wear it. So, so there it is. And, if you don't like the size, put it on
Not much
eBay
you
for
can
100,
do about it. That's right.
bucks.
Free is free. Free is free.
Yeah, free is free. Free, right? So, hey, the contest is open. The password is in the group. I'm seeing a bunch of people jump on now.
Can I say one thing real quick?
More added in.
Can I say one thing real quick?
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
We were talking about Mike. We're talking about Mike Zook. I want to tell you guys, it's called Mike Zook Enterprises. You can find him at Mike Zook, MikeZuke.com. You can call him at 636-256-4798. That's 636-256-4798. His email is mike@mikezook.com. And let me tell you, his store's got everything. He can get you anything you want. And some of the stuff you wouldn't think he'd be able to get. He's got special buys. You can get sports shirts, name brand apparel. He carries women's stuff too. He carries activewear t-shirts, woven stuff, sports apparel, hockey equipment, big and tall, autographed jerseys and cases, electronics, golf equipment, hunting apparel. And if you've got a company and you're looking for some kind of promotional product, Mike Zook can do that for you too. Like I said, I'll also mention his contact information in the post game. But 636-256-4798 and Mike@mikezook.com. Support a local Blues former player, a guy that Guy and I both grew up with, and give him a chance to earn your business. I tell you, he's a very, very nice guy, like most ex-Blues players are.
Yeah. I got to tell you, the interview we did with him, that was an absolute pleasure.
Yeah,
I mean, complete pleasure. This guy and the info that he put out to us, about Bennington, about Berube. He called him Chief. That's why I said that. About Craig Berube and about Armstrong and some of the other things. He watches the Blues intently.
Oh yeah,
absolutely intently.
Yeah, and there are some NHL players that once they're done with the game, they don't watch it. Yeah. Every now and again, if they're invited to the game from their old team, they will. Why did their goalie?
And that was a judgment call, and he probably should have.
Well, let me tell you why. Because he only came out of the net a few feet. He was only past the blue line a few feet. If he had come out towards the blue line more to that, he would have got a penalty. But that is a judgment. You can give a guy a few feet and give him some room. Bennington started to say something to him. And I think the reason that they didn't is because Bennington aggravated the situation by telling him, hey, you want to come on? And the Dudnik started to, and it's like, no, I don't think I should.
Yeah. So no, and you know what? I've heard things on both sides of this, right? And Berube came out, or not Berube, Armstrong came out with a quote that I don't want to. I'm not going to talk to the quote because I actually thought it was horrible. But he basically came out and said, well, in my day, that was normal, and if we have a problem with that, we must be a bunch of something. And I'm not going to go on with there because I really take offense to the way that term is used. But that's just me. And no, not trying to get political, just saying. But that fireness was needed. And if it's got to come from him, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I've got no problem with what he did. He's a fiery guy. I just hope it doesn't get to be a spiel like Ron Hextall and Eddie Belfour. Those guys would get ticked off if somebody looked at them the wrong way. As long as Bennington does it every now and again to take an opportunity at a certain situation where this team needs some type of energy, because you've seen him do it in the playoffs last year, or there was a year before that. I can't remember. But, every now and again do that, but don't become an Ed Belfour or a Ron Hextall. I don't want that kind of a guy. I got no issue with what Doug Armstrong said. He's partially right. Hey, in our day, goalies were fiery. They would chop you in the legs. They would hit you behind the knee when the ref wasn't watching. They would cross-check you in the back with their stick. They would hit you with their glove. I do understand that. And he comes from basically my era of hockey.
Okay, hey, I got to stop you. I just got breaking news. According to Cap Friendly, this is coming from Jim Thomas. The Blues have to moved Ivan Barbashev to LTIR.
Yep, that doesn't shock me.
Right. Okay, so we're just about up. It's about that time. So Lance, I'm going to see you on post game.
I'll definitely be on post game, and I'll let you know a few minutes ahead of time if I'll be on intermission.
Okay, and also send me that Zook info because I want to put it on my scroller so we can have it then. And also, I have a great interview coming out Saturday at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time with Blues Warrior Hockey, and there will be a story out Friday night to go with it. So, hey, guys, I love you. I can't wait to talk to you more, and I got to hit the right button there someday. So this is Guy, the Y Blues fan, saying aloha. Lance, stick around, please. Aloha. Mahalo. And you got to know, me and Lance are bleeding blue with you. Blues. Let's go, Blues. Let's go, Blues.